This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome to Cloud DevOps Batch 52, 53. So before I start the session, I would like to give a quick recap on what's being covered in the previous session. In the previous session, we have seen how to create an AWS account. AWS as a part of the free tier, which offers an account which is free forever, but at the same time, it is going to offer you certain sort of services for certain amount of period. So for the first 1 year, Amazon has set up certain conditions. There are certain conditions that you need to follow if you want to use Amazon to set an extent where you can learn majority of them for absolutely free. Okay, free is never free. Okay, to be honest, free is never free. So when someone says free, you need to carefully look at the conditions whatever they have mentioned. So we are talking about AWS. In AWS, okay, the infrastructure is spread across, okay, 31 different geographical regions across the world. Okay, so even in Hyderabad, if you are in India, in Hyderabad you have two geographical locations. So in Mumbai, it's been there in India from 2016, and in Hyderabad the geographical region is there in 2000 from 2022, just 3-4 months back only they started. And in United States they have total 6 regions. Even the government of United States, guys, if guys, please go on mute if you're not speaking. I'm okay. Thank you. Whenever you want to speak, you can unmute and share your thoughts. Okay, thank you. So as a part of the free tier, Amazon offers you 1 year of account, and at the same time Amazon is so reputed for security, and even the government of United States in certain parts, okay, these regions are only accessible to the government of United States. Okay, there are two, okay, United States offered, okay, Amazon cloud regions where Amazon cloud, for example, Georgia state projects, okay, and Chicago-based projects or California-based projects or Texas-based government-based projects are everything are hosted in these regions. And we are also talking about data standards, right? If you're doing business in India, you should not store the data of India in Russia. If you're doing business in Russia, you should not store the information in United States. If you're doing business in Australia, you should not store the information in Africa. Okay, each and every company and each and every organization has their own set of standards to organize your data. Okay, that's one important point I would like to tell. Okay, and another important thing is I have also told you how to create an infrastructure, how to create a free account in AWS, which I which I forgot to share. Okay, which I forgot to share. So let me share this after the session. So we made, okay, I think yesterday majority of them have confirmed that they are able to create a free tier account. That's a very good thing. Okay, in case if you have not created the account, so sooner better than later, it's better to create an AWS account. Today I'm going to publish this link where it is going to show you the set of instructions which tells you how to create an AWS account. Okay, so I insist or suggest or recommend everyone to create the AWS account sooner better than later, because starting from today we are going to create infrastructure on the top of AWS, and then we are going to work on Linux based missions. Okay, and that's what we have covered, and I would like to start today's sessions with the region. Okay, here, okay, when you're learning something, the very first thing that you need to understand is you need to understand the terms. Okay, when you're talking to someone and you're speaking to someone, the technical terms or the technical acronyms that you use defines your technical presence. So, or even if you want to understand what someone says you, or if you want to talk to someone properly by giving better solution, you should exactly know what is the terms and what is the terminology. And this terminology varies from technology to technology or cloud to cloud. Okay, so I would like to talk more about region and availability zone today. Okay, so before I proceed further, anyone have any questions? Wonderful. So can someone please confirm me? Am I audible? Srikanth, can you confirm me? Yes, no?
Sir, you are audible.
Yes, we
Wonderful.
can.
Wonderful.
Audible,
Thank you.
audible.
Wonderful. So guys, for example, we are into an e-commerce application. Okay. For example, this is an e-commerce application like Flipkart. Flipkart is a very big website, just like Amazon. Okay, it's a e-commerce portal. Okay, where you can offer things online. Okay, now Flipkart wants to create their infrastructure like servers, Linux machines, Windows machines on the top of Amazon cloud, and they prefer to go with cloud. And in that cloud, they selected to go with, okay, they selected to go with AWS. Okay, they selected to go with AWS. Okay, they decided to go with AWS. Now, since Amazon is based out of India, so which part of the country, which part of the region is suggested to create infrastructure? Obviously India, right? If your infrastructure, if your business is in India, obviously it is recommended to have your infrastructure created in India only. For example, Amazon aws.com, it is an e-commerce portal in states, so it's always recommended and suggested to create infrastructure which is close to your market. Okay, so every time the request don't have to pass through the oceans. That's the idea. So for example, since my business is based out of India, I would like to create the infrastructure in Mumbai region. Okay, Mumbai region. So if you want to create infrastructure in India, so Mumbai is one of the option. So from last 3 months, Amazon has also started its operation in Hyderabad. Okay, so if you want to create the infrastructure, you can either create in Hyderabad or either create in Mumbai. Okay, so since this is a business based out of India, so we are creating the infrastructure in Mumbai. Okay, for example, my application has three parts. Okay, my application has three parts. One part is payment, and one part is card, and one part is catalog. Okay, my application has three parts. For example, payment application, payment app. Okay, payment component. Okay, payment app, cart application. Okay, my application is having these three components. I would like to deploy them on the top of, okay, I would like to install them. If you want to install them, as I said, we need to have servers. So we have created three servers. For example, we have created three servers in Mumbai region. Let them create. Okay, so let them create. I have created three servers, and my developer has developed the application, and he told me, hey boss, if you want to run my payment application or cart application or catalog application, you need to have a Linux server. Linux is an operating system. So as a DevOps guys, we have provisioned Linux servers. Okay, Linux server. Okay, Linux is an operating system. Let's consider this way. So we have installed a Linux on the top of this. So or we have selected Linux as the operating system. Okay, we have selected Linux as operating system. Linux as the operating system, and then we have created three servers here. Okay, so we talk more on Linux only because Linux is the future. Okay, now I have deployed. Okay, I have deployed my payment application. So for example, I have deployed my payment application on the top of the server. Okay, when I say deploy, I'm referring to install. I have installed my payment application on the top of the server, and I have deployed my cart application on the top of the server, and I have deployed my catalog application on the top of this server. Okay. Now, since your applications are running, now people start accessing your Flipkart website and your business is going well and things are looking good and you're making good money out of it. Now, what if there is a situation where because of any catastrophe or because of any earthquake or any cyclone or any natural disaster, what if you lose the whole zone? What will happen if that happens? If you lose this region, what will happen? What will happen to your business? This Mumbai region is not just created for Flipkart. It is created for Amazon, or it is created Flipkart, or it is created for it is created for okay, it is created for Reliance business. It is created for state projects. It is also created for a lot of startup companies. A lot of companies are started creating their infrastructure in the Mumbai region because of some XYZ reason. If you lose the Mumbai region, what will happen? What will happen? The entire infrastructure is destroyed. Entire infrastructure is destroyed. So now what I need to do, how I need to plan, how I need to plan is second strategy that we need to think about it. Okay. So this is
Backup.
something we need to not really backup. So that's where Amazon itself has not created the infrastructure that way. Okay, when Amazon says region, you are not really creating the infrastructure in any region. Okay, so again, regions are further classified into zones. Okay, so you don't create something called as a region
Availability zone.
availability zone, availability zone, and it's also called as AZ. Okay, so people call it as AZ means availability zone, and this term is common across all the three cloud providers. Okay, all the three major cloud providers: Amazon Cloud, Google Cloud, Azure, all three places this name remains the same. So none of the places, okay, you create infrastructure on zones, on regions. So instead you create infrastructure in somewhere. Okay, let me delete this. That's not how infrastructure is going to be designed in production. Okay, so how it will be designed is keeping the high availability, keeping the availability in mind. Okay, the region itself will be designed. Okay, for example, okay, if you take the global infrastructure of India, okay, if you see the Mumbai has, Hyderabad has three availability zones, and Mumbai has three availability zones. What exactly zone? A zone is nothing but a physical data center where your infrastructure is going to reside. Okay, so Amazon has three availability zones, which is nothing but three physical locations. Okay, physical locations. Okay, three physical locations it's going to be, and each and every availability zone will have a name. Okay, when I say availability zone, it is a physical location. Okay, Amazon is not going to classify that information where that zone, okay, where that region is there. So it just tells you that it is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, but nowhere you get complete details where Amazon zone is, Amazon places are. Okay, they are going to keep that information classified. Okay, they are not going to say that in this address this availability zone is there. No, they are not going to tell. Okay, this entire Mumbai region is going to classify. Okay, the entire data center, okay, of Mumbai region is organized in three different places. One is availability zone 1, and another is availability zone 2, and another is availability zone 3. Okay, now when you are designing or deploying any production grade applications, you also need to ensure availability in mind. Availability is nothing but, okay, how can you ensure that the system and your application is up? That is called as availability. If you want to achieve the availability, you need to ensure, you need to design the application in such a way that even if certain things fail, still your application should work. And that's the reason how we design the application is, for example, okay, for example, this is cart. For example, let's consider this is cart application. Okay, for example, let's consider this is a cart application. Okay, this is a cart application, and we are going to deploy two instances of cart in two different physical locations or physical data centers, and we are going to run two instances of payment, or two or three, based on how much money you have to your business. Okay, how much your business can afford. Based on that, you are going to design that. Okay, so I'm going to deploy two instances of it. One payment here I'll deploy, and another I'll deploy it here. Okay, and catalog I'm going to deploy it in two places again. So for catalog, two cards, two payments, and what I'll do is I'll deploy one more instance of catalog. Catalog I'll use a different. I'll use catalog. I would like to use a different color just to indicate there are three different applications. Okay. Now I'm going to design the solution this way. Now, in this case, okay, if your application has to process, or if your business has to make money, cart, payment, catalog, all three applications has to be up, and they should be available all the time. For example, because of some natural calamity or anything, okay, usually when Amazon selects the zones itself, they'll ensure that each and every zone is 200, 300 kilometers away to each other. Okay, for example, because of some XYZ reason, okay, in the Mumbai Andheri or Mumbai, in XYZ place in Mumbai where this availability zone is there, they lost the data center, or because of some network outage, or because of the storage outage, or because of the earthquake, you lost the whole zone. Now tell me, will your application still work or not? How many of you say your application will not work? You lost only one zone. In this situation, will your
Sir,
application work or
hello,
not? Yes.
hello,
Yes, Nikhil.
hello.
You are
Abhinav there,
audible.
sir.
Yes, Vinod.
Abhinav there, sir.
Yes, Abhinav, please tell me.
Sir, your voice is interrupting just because of network connection from your side.
I don't think so, Abhinav, because it's things are clear from my end. Kindly check, because I'm having a health check. If there is a network issue, GoToMeeting will tell me into my headphone that I'm having a network issue. Okay, so please check from your end,
So,
Abhinav.
this
No, sir,
from.
you are clear
Okay,
and
sorry.
loud.
Okay, so
Yeah,
others
you're
can speak.
perfectly audible. You're
Yes,
perfectly audible. I think the student have a issue of audio.
yes. Please do check that, Abhinav. Okay.
Yeah, from
So,
my side.
guys,
Okay,
how
okay.
many of you said? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Before you guys know, I'll come to know because GoToMeeting will prompt me to my headphone telling that you are having your users are experiencing issue. Okay, I'll ensure you guys don't experience that. Okay, so Abhinav, please kindly try to join or ensure you have better network. So guys, we are talking about this zone failure, right? Let's ensure because of some XYZ reason you lost the zone, the availability zone 3 lost. You lost the zone. Now what will happen? Okay, what will happen to the payment application? This is also failed, and catalog application, this is also failed. In this situation, is your application is going to work or not? Or it's going to encounter any fault? Or it's
It
going
will
to
work.
encounter any outage? How many of you say
It
it will
will
work and how many of you say no? Just respond your answers, guys, on the chat window. How many
No,
of you say?
no,
So, okay. So people are saying three no's, five yes.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Okay, okay,
It's going to work. It will
okay.
work.
no means it is
Yes.
going to work. It will not getting fault or
Yes, the application is going to work. Why? Because we have deployed each and every instance of application 2 times. Okay, so here in this case, for my application to work, cart should be there, cart is there, catalog should be there, catalog is there, and payment is there, payment is there. Okay, so now it will work. It will work. Your application should still work. Designing the solution, keeping the availability in mind, is called as high availability. Okay, your application should always be highly available. Always be highly available. Okay, and that's called as a fault tolerant application. You need to design as a DevOps guy, as a cloud guy. It's your responsibility to design these solutions in such a way that even in case of failure, your application should work like as it is expected. In this training also, we are going to deploy an application. Okay, deploy the project with 22 servers. Okay, so 20 to 25 servers. Okay, we are going to deploy keeping the high availability in mind, guys. Okay, so even we are going to create the infrastructure in such a way that assuming if one zone fails, still the application should work. So your application should always be high available. In our training, okay, we are going to deploy a project with 22 servers, including high availability with HA. HA stands for high availability. All right. So if you want to achieve all this, first you should know how to create a server. And once the server is created, we need to deploy the infrastructure on the top of it. And that's the difference between availability zone and region. Technically, you are going to select the region, and in that region, you are going to choose which availability zone you would like to deploy. Okay, today's target is I would like to create a server and I would like to connect to the server using different ways and different approaches. That's the first goal. That's the primary goal for today. Okay, that's the primary goal for today. Now I'll ask you another question. Another question: how much time it takes to install an operating system? How much time it takes to install either Windows or Linux operating system? Guys, post your questions, post your answers. How many of you say it takes less time? How many of
Two
you?
minutes,
How much
not even 2 minutes.
you can install in 2 minutes on your computer?
No, in AWS we can install it in 2 minutes.
Okay, forget about AWS in general.
In
You
general,
have
it may
you
take 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
anyone else? 20, 30, 40? Wonderful. So majority of the people are telling it will take 20 minutes, and few of them are the answer is 50-50. 50% of the people are telling it will take 1 minute, and 50% of the people are telling it's gonna take. Installing an operating system always takes okay 20 to 30 minutes based on the size of your machine. Okay, which means how much CPU you have and how much memory your machine is having. Based on that, it will take 20 to 30 minutes of time, right? But in cloud, it works in a different way. As you guys said, you can create a server along with the operating system. Okay, but in cloud, you name any cloud, that's the same story. Okay, in any cloud, it just takes okay less than 1 minute to create a server. And to create a server with along with the operating system installation, it just takes 1 minute. That's it, nothing else. Now, how do you, for example, you have created a server. Okay, so today's goal is to create a server. Now you have created a server. Mhm. You have created a server. Let's assume you created a server, and now you would like to connect to the server. Let's instance this is a Windows server. Since everyone knows Windows, I would like to talk in Windows terms first. Sorry about this. Okay, I would like to. So you have created in Mumbai region one server. Now I would like to connect to this, and this is my. I'm in Bangalore, for instance. I'm in Bangalore. I would like to connect to the server which is in Mumbai. Usually, how you guys connect to any of the server in general? If you want to connect, if you want to authenticate to your computer, what you'll do, you'll enter your username and password. Once you enter the username and password, you can access your computer, right? And the computer is in front of you. For example, for instance, the server that you have created is in Mumbai region. How do you connect to that? How do you connect to that? Anyone? If it is a Windows, how do you connect? Anyone? Anyone?
through an IP
Using the
address.
RDP.
RDPS.
Only
Exactly. You need to have a client software on the top of your machine. For example, if you want to connect to Windows, you will install a software called as RDP. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. This is a small client software. Okay, client software is nothing but a software which has to be installed on your computer. You will install this and you will be connecting to this server with the IP address, username, and password. You will be connecting to it, right? Username and password. Okay, you'll enter your username along with the appropriate password. And if you are having permission and if you're authorized and if your enter details are right, then you'll be connecting to it, right? Yes or no? This is how you authenticate, right? For example, if it is a Linux machine, this is how it works. For example, if it is a Linux machine, there are two approaches. Okay. And what is the default user account in Windows? Administrator or admin. Okay, is the default user account in Windows machines. Okay, so Windows, okay, administrator is the default username in Windows, right? Similarly, okay, since it is Windows server, you can connect using this way. What if I say that this is not a Windows server, if it is a Linux server? So how do you connect? Let me paste that. It is a Linux server. So if it is a Linux server, let's assume this is a Linux server. Since the business is Linux, our business is also Linux. How do you connect? How do you connect? Okay, so if you want to connect to any of the Linux machines, okay, Linux is the one which has introduced the concept of, okay, so you use a client, okay, instead of using RTP software, you'll use another software called as, okay, you'll use another software called as SSH. Using the SSH, we are going to connect. Okay, so in authentication, okay, authentication is nothing but validating whether you are the person who is saying or not. Okay, authentication in Linux works in two ways. Okay, either you can authenticate by using, okay, the traditional approach, username and password in Linux. Okay, username and password. Okay, this is some standard approach, which is the recommended approach, by the way. Okay, so you join a company, they'll create a user account and you'll use it. That is a recommended way. Another approach, okay, which I'm going to tell is something which is going to help you. Okay, so for example, if you join any company by telling that you worked for these many years and all, and whatever the content that I'm going to tell, if you don't know that, they can easily identify that you don't know anything. Okay, just by whatever I'm going to cover, if you're not able to say whatever you are going to do, they can easily identify that you don't know anything. Okay, so next is SSH keys or passwordless authentication. Okay, you use something called as passwordless authentication. So rather than you entering password, so instead of password, you'll use something else called as keys. Okay, so SSH keys or SSH key pair. Okay, this is the something which is native to Linux. Okay, so it is not much recommended, by the way, but let's try to learn it, because in the interest of interview, and there are certain legacy companies which still uses SSH keys to authenticate. So in this training we are going to see both how do you connect using username and password, and keys as well. Keys is something which majority of the people, if you are a Linux guy or non-Linux guy, you tend to confuse. So it's very easy. I'll try to make it very easy. So if you want to connect using SSH keys without the need of password, okay, so SSH keys is nothing but SSH key pair. So SSH key pair is nothing but a combination of, okay, it's a combination of public key and private key plus private key. Okay, so as the name itself says, okay, so public key is not a sensitive information. That means you can use it anywhere. And private key is sensitive information, which means you should not expose it to anyone. Okay, you can consider this public key and private key just like a lock and key concept. So the first thing that you need to do is when you're creating servers, you can create a key pair. Key pair is nothing but generating two files, just like, okay, a lock and a key. Okay, lock and a key. So lock and key example. Let me take an image. Let me take an image. So yeah, let's take this, copy this and put it here. Oh my God, it's so big. Okay, here if you want to open this lock, okay, here if you want to open this lock, you need to have the appropriate key, right? This lock can only be opened by this key, right? Now this lock, for example, you are going out and you have locked the key and you have locked this with this particular key. Now this key you'll keep it in your pocket and you don't expose it to anyone, right? And this public key or the lock can be seen by anyone. I don't mind whosoever sees it, but the moment people see this, they can pretend or they can make a duplicate key, okay, which looks exactly like this, and they can open the key, right? So here exactly the key pair will also work the same way, public key and private key. Public key is just a lock and private key is just like a key. Okay, lock. Okay, try to understand this. It's very easy. Okay, so just try to understand that. So let me copy this image, copy the image. Oh, my bad, I copied a long image. Copy this and put it here. Okay. Your public key is just like your lock, and the private key is like a key. See that? Okay. Let's try to see this. Copy the image and put it here. Okay. And this information is very sensitive, and you should not expose it to anyone. Okay, and you should not expose it to anyone. It is just like telling the password. Okay, now whatever I'm going to do, whenever I'm going to create the servers, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this is the lock to use. Okay. Okay, this is just like putting a lock. Okay, and if you want to unlock it, okay, you should keep this on your computer and you need to tell I want to connect to this server, and this will ask you, hey, what is the key? Then you need to tell this is the key. The moment you say that this is the key, you can connect to it. All right, now among this public key and private key, which one is sensitive and which is the information which is not supposed to be exposed to anyone? Which among you feel sensitive or private?
Key,
Public key or
key,
private key?
Private.
Which key?
private key,
Private.
private
Exactly.
key, private key.
Exactly. Exactly. When you join any organization, they might ask you, okay, so in certain companies, they still use as keys. If they ask you, hey, generate me the key pair, can you please give me your key? They'll ask you, okay, then you should not give your private key. The moment you give the private key to the person who has asked, they'll understand this guy know nothing. Okay, this is the first clue majority of the students fail. Okay, in your company, in certain tools, open source tools still work with keys. Okay, so when you join any company, they'll ask you to generate the key and they'll ask you to give you the key. They don't tell you which one to give. Okay, because it's a common sense. No one will ask you private key. No one will ask you what is your password. No one will ask you what is your PAN card number, right? So sensitive information is not something no one is expected to ask you. But if they ask you key, give me the key, they are asking this key. That means which will be enrolled some XYZ places. Okay, always you need to give the public key. All right. Okay,
Okay,
now
so you
using this
mean the
concept,
public key is always attached with the server side?
right, 100% right. Not servers, anywhere, any appliance. Okay, since you are talking about server, yes, servers is the right thing. All right, guys. Now what I would like to do is,
Private. And this is private key generated by ourselves.
Yes, you can generate a public key and private key. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I'll show you both the ways. I'll show you how to do that. All right, guys. Now, what we are going to, there are two ways again to generate by using commands.
SSH full form is what?
Mhm.
What is the exact meaning of what is the exact meaning of SSH actually?
Okay, SSH full form is nothing but okay, secure shell. Okay, so
Okay.
SSH stands for secure shell.
It is used to communicate between the client and the server mainly in
Exactly.
cloud.
Just like, yes, if you want to connect to any of the Linux machine, you need to use something called some protocol, some methodology called as SSH. Okay, just like how you connect to Windows machines using RTP, the same way you use SSH to connect to the machines, Linux based machines. SSH is something which we use to connect to the Linux based machines. Okay, it's a network communication protocol which enables to establish connection to a Linux based server. All right.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Okay, SSH. It is very common thing, straightforward thing. So secure shell. This is the network protocol that helps you connects to your Linux server. Okay, this is something you need to understand. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to create a server on Amazon Cloud, and using private key, public key concept, we are going to connect to the Linux server. Okay. And this will be the first time and the last time we are going to Linux, we are going to create Linux servers using keys. Going forward, we are not going to use keys to connect. Okay, keys is okay deprecated and which is not used in production majority of the times. But there are certain companies, if you are working for legacy companies, they still use, or if you are working for certain companies, they still use okay these methodologies and all. Okay, so that's the reason I try to cover both. This is the recommended approach and this is not much recommended. Okay, but we try to see both. Okay, then we can understand how things operate. Okay, so since I assume that everyone has created an account on AWS, now I would like to create a server and connect to the server. That's my first goal for today. Okay, because from tomorrow we would like to start exploring and learning Linux. So for that I need you all to have your AWS accounts. Okay, so I need one software every one of you to install. And when I take a poll, majority of the people are working for a lot of corporate companies. So if you use Putty, Putty is the SSH client which has to be installed on your on Windows based machines. Windows based machines. Okay, so this is so this Putty has so reputation that in you take any company, any banking project, you can install this. Even if you are working a corporate computer, you can still use Putty. Putty is a very famous software. So Putty has to be installed on your computer first thing. Okay, Putty is a SSH client which has to be installed on Windows machine. And, okay, and using this we are going to connect. Okay, using Putty we are going to connect. As I said, there are some simulators where you can directly learn Linux, but I prefer to go as production grade as possible. So just by listening, you should understand what's going on. Okay. So first, I would like to install Putty on the top of my computer. So all you need to do is just say Putty. Putty. That's it. You just say type Putty. Click on the first link. Download Putty, a free SSH and Telnet client for Windows. Mhm. Now all you need to say is just click it. It's going to download Putty.
Sir, it is download always to the client side.
Yes. From where you are going to connect.
And sir, one more thing, sir. Why we are installing to the client side putty always when we are communicating with the Linux server?
Okay. If the server is in New York, if you are in Hyderabad, how are you going to connect? And how are you going to connect to the Linux server and install that software on a Linux server which is in New York?
Okay. So
If
if
I
we have
ask you,
to create
mhm,
a public key in the Linux server which is present in New York,
mhm,
so we have to install putty in our client side just
yes,
because of
exactly.
security purpose.
Not security. What is a client? What is a server? in this is the server which is serving multiple people. Client is nothing
Yeah.
but you, right? You are the client, right?
Yes. Yes.
Agree?
Yes. Our desktop.
And this
Yes.
is the guy who is doing business. So when I say
Yes.
client software, which is nothing but you need to install on your computer.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So for example, if you want to do shopping on a Flipkart website, so where are you installing your application, on your mobile or on the Flipkart server?
We are installing a application our client side in our
Which is
desktop.
not exactly same concept.
So no, my question is why we are installing putty. Matlab, what is the uh,
Mhm.
relevance of putty to install in our computer?
First of all, those are two questions. Whether you understand putty, what is putty, or why are we installing putty on the computer? Which one is your question?
What is putty and why are we installing it? The both are the question. Actually, I didn't understand what is
Just wait for
putty
two more
exactly is.
minutes. Just
Yes.
wait for 2 more minutes. You'll understand it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
I request you to wait for 2 more minutes. That should answer your question. Okay. Now I want to install Putty because Putty is a software which helps you in establishing. Okay. This is a software which helps you in connecting to the Linux based machine. Okay. Putty is a client software which has to be installed on Windows machine. Using Putty, we are going to connect to the Linux server because we want to learn Linux. If you want to learn Linux, you need to have a Linux server. Since the Linux server is there, we are going to connect to the Linux server. Now I would like to install Putty. Okay. So Putty, just click that. Okay, it's going to download. Just double click it. Just double click it. It's still downloading. So showing the folder, it's installing. Just say next, 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 install. That's it. It's a very sweet and very small software. Okay, it works anywhere, everywhere. Okay, in my computer it's already there, so maybe it upgrades or something. If you just type once it is installed, okay, it will take time. Just click this. Okay, if let it install in the background. Are you sure that you want to cancel? Yes. Okay, the moment you install it, okay, you type Windows key and you see this, you'll get this software.
So where we
This is the
click on this page,
just type putty, Windows and putty.
but yes, is
Mhm,
which page is currently showing in your screen, where
mhm.
we click to a
That's
package
it.
file like okay,
That's it. This is the one.
64 bit.
Yeah, anything is fine. Okay, but all our computers are 64-bit. You can click 64-bit. Okay,
Okay.
all right. The moment you click this, the software is downloaded. You click it, it is going to install. That's all. Once it is installed, just type your Windows button and type putty. It should show you an application like this. Okay, this is the software that I want. And here I am going to mention my system address and I'm going to connect to it. Okay, let me show you how it works. Okay, first, let me create a server and then we are going to use it. Okay, now AWS Global Infrastructure, just sign in. My goal for today is very simple. I would like to create a Linux server using the passwordless authentication. I would like to SSH to the server. Okay, when I say SSH, I would like to connect. Okay, in the Linux terminology, when someone says SSH to the server, that means they are asking you to connect to the server. Okay, now I have my keys. So trainer.manuverma@gmail.com is my address and I have my password. So choose it. Okay, now as soon as you sign in, this is the dashboard which comes up. This is the dashboard which comes up. So guys, if you want to create a server, Amazon Web Services, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services is all about services only. Amazon Web Services. You name something, Amazon offers it as a service. For example, I want servers. Okay. For example, I would like to create servers. If you would like to create servers, you need to consume a service. Okay. I would like to create a server. I would like to create a server. So if you want to create a server, you need to use a service. You need to consume a service. And the name of the service in Amazon, which offers infrastructure as a service, is Elastic Cloud Compute, which is also called as EC2. Okay, Elastic Cloud Compute is a service which falls under the category of infrastructure as a service. Amazon offers you infrastructure as a service, right? It falls under the category of IaaS. IaaS stands for infrastructure as a service. Okay, which offers you infrastructure as a service. Okay. Now, again, you name something. I want a database. You need to consume a service. I need a disk. You need to consume a service. I want to store. I want to need a big database. You need to consume a service. For example, I would like to create a cluster. You need to consume a service. You name something. Amazon offers it as a service. Amazon so far uh, has tremendous amount of services. You name something, it has it. Okay. So we are going to consume Elastic Cloud Compute, which is also called as EC2, which helps you, which is a service which helps you in creating a servers. Okay. As I told you, right, Amazon offers you infrastructure for rental. Okay, pay as you go model. Okay, now I want to create a server. To create a server, I need to consume a service, and the name of the service is EC2. Okay, what I need to do is I'll just come to the search bar and I'll type EC2. The moment you type it, it is telling you EC2 stands for virtual servers in the cloud. Virtual servers in the cloud. So it is a feature which helps you in creating the servers. Click that link. The same account that we are using will also be used in your corporate. Okay. Now I would like to create a server. I would like to create a server. Now, at the moment you click EC2, these are the options that you see, which is nothing but how many servers are running. Okay. How many instances are right now there, and how many volumes are there. Okay. How many security groups are there, how many IPs are there. Everything will be shown in a single dashboard. Now, my goal for today is, my goal for today is very simple. Okay. I would like to create a server. Okay. My goal for today is very simple. Create a server and connect to it using passwordless authentication. That's my goal. Okay, that's the only goal. Okay, that's the only goal for my today. Okay, that's my goal today. All right, that's my goal for today. So let's work towards it. Now I would like to create a server. All I need to do is I just need to say launch a server and launch an instance. That's it. Okay, now you click the instances. Now you got an option to launch an instance. Okay, in Amazon we call server as an instance. Server is referred as an instance. Okay, in Azure cloud you call it as a VM. Okay, in Google cloud you call it as an instance. Okay, even in Amazon cloud you call it as an instance. The moment I say instance, I'm referring to server. Okay, now I would like to create a server and I would like to name the server as Linux server. My Linux server. Okay, this is the name that I am giving to my Linux server. Now you need to tell which type of server that you want, whether you want Windows server or whether you want Linux server or whether you want a Mac machine. Okay, Amazon is the first machine which even came up with the concept of Mac. If you want to create a MacBook or a Mac server, you can also create a Mac server. Okay, none of the cloud providers has this option. Okay, if you would like to create a Linux, which flavor or which distribution of Linux, if it you want Red Hat, which version of Red Hat you want. Okay, now if you find something here, click it. If you don't find it, browse AMI, browse more AMIs. What is this AMI? Again, a new word came up. Let's try to understand it. What is an AMI? What is an AMI? That also, let's also discuss that later. What is an AMI? Let's also discuss that. Action item. Now what I want is which server you want. Linux server. Okay, so in the market the majority of the customers uses Red Hat Linux or CentOS, so we would like to go with either Red Hat or CentOS. For example, I would like need CentOS, and in the CentOS I would need 7 version of CentOS. 7th version, I just type CentOS 7. Now it will show you humongous amount of operating systems available options. Okay, now in the AWS marketplace you have 756, and in the AWS community you have 500. Okay, AWS marketplace is like, okay, if you want to sell some solution or if you make some AMI, you can use this and you can sell it, or you can also publish it for free. Okay, you can get all the options available in Amazon marketplace or in the community AMIs. Since I want CentOS 7, I'll just click this option. Okay, I'll choose CentOS 7 and I'll select CentOS 7. Okay, now, okay, they are telling you they are going to charge you 0.012 per hour. Continue. Okay, continue this option. Okay, now they have selected now they have selected it as, okay, So, okay, CentOS 7, CentOS 7 AMI has been selected. What is an AMI? We'll talk about it. Okay, AMI for now, assume it like an operating system. Now I have selected. Now, what is the instance type that you need to use? Okay, so wherever, click the drop down, wherever you see the label as free tier eligible, only those types are free. Okay, only those type of instances are free as a part of the free tier account. Apart from these, if you use any of these things, you will be chargeable. First of all, what are these options? So guys, when you want to buy any computer, okay, or when you want to buy any computer, what are the things that you look at first? If you want to buy a computer, what you'll do first? What do you do first?
It's RAM, it's ROM,
We'll check the configuration.
it's RAM, it's ROM.
Exactly. So how much CPU you want? Okay, for example, if you're an engineering student, or if you're a computer science engineer where you want to do a lot of coding and where you need high CPU and high memory, for example, you decided to go with 8 GB RAM, and you also want 8 core processor. 8 core is nothing but you'll get 8 cores of processors, okay, or CPU, you call it as CPU. And then I also want I want a 256 GB disk. Okay, this is how you decide, right? This is how you, these are the first parameters that you'll check, right? And your system performance is highly dependent on how much CPU you use and how much memory you use, right? If you're getting better performance, it also means you are having better resources. These are called as resources: memory, CPU, RAM. Okay, you need to have these resources in place. Okay, so if an engineering student is buying, he wants some better performance, so you go with high-end configuration. For example, an art student is there, and if the art students want to buy the computer and his purpose is just to write documentation, whatever the books that he is writing, he want to write it, and for him he don't need that much CPU. Maybe he can go with 4 GB RAM, and he can go with 4 core processor. Okay? And your billing, okay, so which among this computer costs you more, the left one or the right one? Which costs you less and which costs you more? Anyone? Obviously, the resources with lesser resources
Right
will
one, sir.
cost you less. Exactly.
Right one.
Why? Because higher resources, higher money. Same way, okay. And based on your business, based on what business you are going to do with the created server, based on that, it's also you who decides how much CPU you want and how much memory you want. Okay, there are certain best combinations where you get better performance if you choose certain portion of amount and certain portion of CPU and certain amount of memory. Okay, it's not like if you have 100 CPU and if you have 100 CPU and 1 gig of memory, don't expect better performance. Like if you have 8 GB of memory and 32 processors, you might not get better performance. There are some better combinations. If you are having this much CPU and if you are having this much memory, that combination will give you better performance. If you are having this much CPU and if you are having that much memory, that is defined as a better combination. There are a lot of such better combinations are available. Amazon has figured out all those better combinations, and for each and every combination they have mentioned as T1 micro, which means you get one CPU and zero point 0.6 gig of memory, and T2 micro you get one CPU and 1 gig of memory. For example, T2.x large, which is going to give you 4 CPU and 16 gigs of memory. Likewise, and like forth, for each and every combination, there has been a name given. Okay, in interviews they'll ask you what all type of instances you have worked on. Okay, never ever say that I worked on T series or T2 micro or T3 micro. The moment you say I have used T3 micros in my project, that means they'll understand, okay, this guy has recently learned and giving interview. Okay, so you should not say that. Those are free tier instances only. Okay, so if your workloads, for example, if you are working for a gaming company and where all the game based applications are running on the top of your servers, typically game based missions need higher CPU. At the time you'll choose instances which are having higher CPU. See this, it is having 128 CPUs. For example, if you are working for a banking company where you are running some databases on the top of the server, that also needs higher memory. Then you'll choose a workload which gives you higher memory. Okay, based on that, you need to choose a combination. Okay, so in our business for now, right now, my goal is to create a server and to connect to it. So I would like to go with the T2 micro, which gives me exactly one CPU and 1 gig of memory. So I'm okay with that. I'm going with T2 micro. So okay, unless until it is free tier eligible, it's not going to be charged. Okay, now select key pair. This is the option that I'm looking for. This is the option that I'm looking for. So guys, Amazon always forces you to use key pair. Okay, so it also lets you to create a server with a username and password. That is something I would like to discuss tomorrow. But for now, I would like to connect to the server using key pair. Now I would like to generate a key pair. I would like to generate a key pair. Either you can use the Linux commands to generate a key pair, or you can also use Amazon Cloud to generate a key pair. Okay, for today, I would like to show you how to generate using Amazon. Just click create G pair. Now just mention it as the name of the key pair, as since it is this batch 53, I would like to name it as batch 53. Okay, batch 53. Just give the name as this. Now there are two options. Go with the key pair type as RSA by default. Don't change anything. Okay. And second thing is whether you want the file format in PEM format or PPK format. If you would like to use putty, you need to choose PPK. And if you are not putty guy, and if you are using some MacBook or something, then you need to use PEM. Since we are all using putty, let's skip putty. For today, since it is a day one, we would like to go with only putty, which is a native software. Click PPK. PPK stands for PPK stands for putty file. Okay, PPK stands for putty formatted file. All right. Yeah, putty stands for I'm not able to recall. Putty private key. PPK stands for putty private key. Okay, PPK stands for putty private key. I would like to use this. Granted the key pair. Now it's going to generate the key pair and it has downloaded as well. And this is the private key. Putty private key, and this is the key that we need to use. So don't do anything else. Just all the way go down, all the way scroll down. You can also mention how much amount of disk you want. Okay. So based on your business, you need to give the disk size. Okay. Also, guys, your performance of your server is also dependent on the amount of disk. That combination we'll talk in the upcoming sessions. But for now, just connect to it, launch the server. The moment you say launch server, it's going to start the server, it's going to create the server. Let's wait for it to create. Let that get created. Okay, the server is created. Okay, each and every server when it is created, it will have a ID identifier. Okay, just click that ID. Okay, and the status of it is pending. Okay, what exactly is meant by pending? So guys, when an instance state is pending, okay, instance state is pending, what exactly it meant, what is pending? That's also very important thing. What do you mean by pending? So when someone says the server is in pending state, okay, so Amazon has not allocated resources to you. Okay, so okay, so what exactly pending? Okay, so what exactly is happening in the backend is on Amazon's physical server. Okay, for example, it's a very big server. Let's assume it as a physical server. In the physical server, okay, which might be having, for example, this is a server which is having, okay, which is having 32 gig of RAM and 64 proc. For example, this is a very big server which is having this. Now, in this, okay, Amazon is going to provision you a small server on the top of it. It's going to provision your small server on the top of it. Okay, this is a server, and this is going to have, since we have mentioned T3 micro, Amazon has allocated one CPU and 1 gig of memory to you, and that's the reason you are able to create, okay, 1 GB RAM and 1 proc. Okay, unless until Amazon allocates you these resources, okay, the status won't be coming out of pending state. Okay, if someone says, or if the status is showing as pending state, that means Amazon has not allocated the resources. Okay, since we are all using Amazon free tier accounts, okay, Amazon gives you least privilege to free tier accounts. Okay, that means during the same time, if other customers are requesting more resources, or if others are creating more servers, if Amazon is not able to manage those resources, they don't consider your request first. Amazon always, not just Amazon, always all the cloud providers will give first priority to the paid customers. Okay, so now the server came up to the running state, which means Amazon has allocated you the resources. It doesn't mean that you can still connect. Okay, you can also need to check certain status checks. Okay, here the status is still pending. Okay, so this is also one of the most common thing that you'll encounter. Okay, so if the instance is in the running state but still the status checks, okay, these are called the health checks, are still if they are not in the running state, that means you still cannot connect to it. Okay, what exactly the system status checks and instance status checks, both should be coming to running state, then only the health check of the machine is good, and then only you can connect to the server. Okay, system status checks, another thing. System status checks, these are very important. Okay, very very important. If you are applying for junior roles, these are very important.
So Manoj, will
Uh-huh.
we get charged? It's okay. It's a free of charge, free to year
Right.
one, but it's a
Yes,
chargeable in the
it's free.
production. Will we get
It
charged if it's still in pending state?
no. See, if you create a server, okay, it comes to the running state, right? Since then you are going to be charged. Okay. In the first 1 minute, even if you create the server and destroy the server, you will still be billed for the first 1 minute. Okay. So from then, after 1 minute, the time the server comes to running state, you will be charged based on the number of seconds. If you use it 10 minutes, 15 seconds, you will be charged only for the 10 minutes, 15 seconds for the CPU, memory, and the disk. Got it?
Even it shows as a pending state.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes. Amazon has not allocated the resources to you, right?
Right. So even it's showing the pending state, it will be get chargeable.
No, you won't be.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
You won't be.
Pending state should be good. Okay.
You won't be. Okay. Now the status is still showing as okay, initializing. Now both of them came to running state. What exactly these are meant? Okay, what exactly these status checks meant? Okay, system reachability checks are passed and instance reachability checks are passed. So guys, these are basically like your system hardware check. System status check is like your system hardware check. Hardware check. Okay. For now, this has some other meaning as well. We'll talk about it later. But for now, with our knowledge, let's try to understand this is system software checks, hardware check, and software checks. Okay. So whether it is having issue with the software or at the hardware, you can identify based on it. Okay, certain times what will happen is, guys, okay, so the instance where you are running, for example, if you are running the server on the top of this physical server one, because of some xyz issue, for example, even these are servers, right, they'll encounter a lot of physical stress, and sometimes the motherboard will be destroyed, or you lose the motherboard. That means motherboard fails to work, or the processor fails to respond, or sometimes the disk will fail. During that time, the server will go to pending state, or it will restart and it will be created on some other server. During that time, you can also see that, okay, so system status check is failed, okay, or system physical status checks are failed. You will see that. Okay, if someone complains you and approaches you telling that, hey, I'm not able to connect to the server, that means the very first thing that you need to do, first thing is you need to come and check what is the status of it, and what is the system status check, and what is the instance status check. Sometimes you'd also see migration in progress. That means the server is going and creating on the top of other physical server as well. Okay, these are very important point. One is hardware check, and the other instance status check is software checks, or at the virtual machine level. All right, now we have created the server. Now I would like to connect to it. Okay, so guys, if one computer wants to talk to another computer, okay, it should have a common protocol. Okay, if a mobile device wants to talk to a cell phone tower, both of them should speak a common language. If we both are understanding each other, that means we both know a common language called as English. Okay, similarly, if one computer wants to talk to another computer, it should have a protocol, it should have an address. So how do I call you? I'll call you by name, right? Similarly, if a computer can be connected or accessed using its IP address, you have two IP address. One is public IP address and another is private IP address. Which one you need to use? Okay, for now, if you want to connect from the internet, use public IP address. Okay, so copy the public IP address and open your putty. Type your Windows button, PUTTY putty. Okay, okay. One more thing. Okay, you should also know the user account, right? So copy this. Since we are using CentOS, okay, since we are using CentOS, the default user account of CentOS is CentOS only. Okay, so the default user account in Windows, what is the default user account in Windows? Anyone?
Admin.
Wonderful. Admin is the answer, right? Similarly, in Linux, okay, so in Linux, default user account in Linux is, so this is a super user, right? Super user. Default user account in Linux is based on the type of flavor, but root is common. Root is like a super user, just like a admin, but it's not like everyone will have access. Okay, so each and every user account will have something called as CentOS. If it is a CentOS machine, CentOS. If it is a Red Hat machine, Red Hat user account. A user account will be there. There's a default user account which we will be using it to connect. Okay, that's the default user account. Okay, so copy the public IP address of the machine, copy that. Now open your putty, PUTTY, putty. Now mention the IP address inside the hostname panel, copy and paste it. Now what you need to do, okay, what you need to do, okay, if you want to connect to this machine, you need to tell which is the private key you should use. If you want to connect to this Linux server, you need to tell what is the private key you are supposed to use. Okay, we have used batch 53, so you need to use the batch 53 private key. Okay, so open Windows, open putty. Okay, mention the private IP address, public IP address, and here at the left window you have an option called as SSH. Can you see this, guys? Left option, SSH. Here there is a plus symbol. You click the plus symbol, it is going to open something else called as auth. Click the auth and browse the private file. Okay, browse it. We have downloaded that file inside the downloads folder. Click that option. Now open it. Now you are going to connect. Okay, now it's asking, hey, you are going to connect to the server for the very first time. Do you wish to connect or not? Yes, I would like to connect. Okay, so CentOS. So what is the default user account for CentOS? CentOS is the default user account. Okay, CentOS is the default user account. So type CentOS and just type enter. It won't ask you enter the password. Guys, were you connected or not? Can you see this? You are connected. Okay, so uptime is one of the Linux command which tells you since when the machine is up. The machine is up from last 9 minutes. Okay, guys, got it? Let me show you one more time. How do you connect to the Linux based server? Okay, first you have installed. Okay, you have installed. Okay, let me write it. Create a Linux server. While creating, generate a key pair. Generate a key pair with name B53 since we are on batch 53. Now install putty on your computer. And once you're done, okay, copy the IP address of the machine, open putty, paste the IP, and browse the downloaded private key. And that's it. You're connected. Okay, so let me show you that. Now let me try to show you one more time, assuming that I don't know that. So copy the private public IP, use putty, use putty, and then copy the public IP address. And then in the left pane, you have an option called as SSH. Click the plus button and you have an option called as auth. Auth stands for authentication, and browse the public key, private key. That's it. You're connected. You need to say who is the user account. The moment you say user account, you're connected. That's all. That's all. Okay, that's the goal for today. I want to show how to create a server and connect using without password. Okay, so you should never ever share your private key with anyone. For example, if you have shared your private key with me, I can sign in as you and I can destroy everything, and in the system it will record it as you who has done it even though you are not. Okay, so you should never ever create or share your keys to anyone. All right, and
We use
question.
batch 53 as our private key.
Right, I mean, name is of your choice, but name should always make sense. Okay? Since I'm running batch 53, it's just my choice. For example, if your name is Sudeep, you can use Sudeep name. Sudeep is your key. It's your choice. Okay? It's your choice.
Yes.
All right. So coming back to the question, okay, we have asked how it takes to usually if you're installing an operating system on the top of AWS, if you're installing an operating system on your computer, usually it takes 20 to 30 minutes. But hey, Varma, but uh, during the session, the server created with less than 1 minute. How it happened? So guys, when you say AMI, AMI stands for Amazon Machine Index. Okay, so AMI is a disk. Okay, AMI is a disk. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Index, not index image. Okay, it is a disk. Okay, it is a disk. Okay, it is a disk with pre-installed operating system. Okay, it is a disk with pre-installed operating system. So the moment you say I want a CentOS 7 operating system, Amazon in the backend is going to give you a disk which is already having an operating system on the top of it. This is also a very common thing. Every one of us know. Okay, in cloud you can get the server in less than 1 minute because of AMI. But if someone asks you, okay, how it's going to create in less than 1 hour, 1 minute, the answer is you're not really installing an operating system. Amazon on behalf of you has already installed an operating system on the top of the disk and kept it ready for you. The moment you say I want CentOS, so what it's going to do is it's going to create a server. Okay, and then it's going to attach that server to you. That's it. Now you have a server which is having a disk attached. Okay, so it's going to act like a Linux server with CentOS 7. Okay, CentOS 7. All right. If you are
So
applying,
actually, we are using
uh-huh.
the AMI disk, not the CentOS server, not the CentOS Linux server.
You're telling or asking? I didn't understand.
I'm asking you
Okay.
that actually we are using AMI image or
Yes. So AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Amazon Machine Image is nothing but Amazon is keeping disks with operating system already installed on it. Okay. The moment you select I want CentOS 7, Amazon is bringing the disk and attaching the disk to your server that you are creating. So the disk is already has an operating system. So that's the reason when you start, it's going to boot up or it's going to start in less than 1 minute. It's not really installing an operating system in the backend. Okay, answers your question.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So technically, you're not installing an operating system. Okay, you're just attaching a disk. Okay, all right. And that's for today, guys. Tomorrow I'll show you. Okay, so we don't use this password based authentication anymore. As I said, in corporates also majority of the places this process or procedure is deprecated. But in certain companies and places, and even in interviews, they'll ask you, how do you generate the public key, private key? How do you share the private key? Is it ethical to share the private? Like that, and like four things would come up. So I want to educate you guys. So before we proceed, and that's the reason I have mentioned this. Okay, from tomorrow we'll go with username and password, and that's for today. And before we sign up, I just like to give one more update. So guys, meeting link for so meeting link remains the same. Okay, so meeting link will remain the same as I said. So meeting link remains the same. Remains the same till further update. Meeting link remains the same, and tomorrow session starts the same time. Okay, session will start at 7:30 a.m. IST or regular time, or 9 p.m. EST. Okay, and that's for today, guys. And meeting link remains the same. If any one of you are having challenges with joining or something, just please do message me. I'll try to sort that. And yeah, and that's for today. And you'll also get the documentation to create your AWS account today. Yesterday I forgot to send you. Today you'll get it. Okay. And yeah, meeting link remains the same. And tomorrow session will start as usual, 7:30 a.m. IST or 9 p.m. Central Eastern. And that's for today, guys. Any questions, anyone? If you have any questions, I'm open to take up the questions. Questions. You're good. And the questions. Questions, anyone?
Uh, Hi Manoj, could you please share
Hey.
this today's recording video?
Yeah. So you're receiving the everyday sessions? You're receiving the sessions every
Uh,
day?
no,
Okay. Who has shared you the meeting link?
Babu.
Okay, just reach out to Babu.
Yeah.
He will share you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I spoke to him already. He will get you. Just spoke to him. Ask him that Varm, share me. He'll be able to give you. Okay. Any questions, anyone? So guys, for the next 2 to 3 days, we'll go a little slow. As I said, we both needs to adjust the frequency, and once the frequency adjusted, so we can little increase the pace. Okay, but let's go slow in the initial days. Okay, guys. So we go in a project oriented approach, in a use case based approach. Given a use case, how you react, because that's what all end of the day everyone is coming here to get into a job. So keeping those aspects in mind, we designed the course. So we'll try to keep things as interactive as possible, so try to be more interactive so that we can gain more. Okay, and that's for today, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask. If not, we are good for today. Wonderful. And that's for
No,
today,
sir.
and
Thank you.
let's yeah, please tell me, Abhinav.
No, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful. So yeah, and that's for today, guys. Let's catch up tomorrow. Okay, same time, and meeting link remains the same. Signing off. Have a great day and great evening, everyone. Bye.